All right, the next thing we have to factor in is this form of self-sabotage that we all tend to, not all of us, but a lot of us do, is that we tend to do something like become the martyr or the supportive actor in our own lives. Now, like I had said in the short, I'm going to explain this. We tend to always deflect what our issues are because we don't want to pour that energy into ourselves and figure out how to fix this. Now, realistically, when you are tapping into the higher self is going to ask things of you that always keep you in the lead role of your life. So if you haven't got to that flavor or that point where you're comfortable being the lead in your own life, then you'll find the higher self's direction quite hard or difficult to do. It's like you have to take the baby steps to get into the lead role first. And then once you have the lead role, once you're at the helm, once you're at the steering wheel of your own car, your own life, you start to be able to take those directions from the higher consciousness a lot easier. So realistically, how do we do this? How do we go from the supportive role to the driver's seat? One, first and foremost, is that acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you do this. Sit with a piece of paper and write down all the persons that you know off the top of your head that you do this with. It could be your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your friends. I know for myself, I did it for a cousin. I did it for countless friends. Do you know from 2020 till this point right now, I have laid waste to, if not tens to hundreds of friends. Not because I don't love them, not because I hope the best for them, but because I know that I had this weird dynamic where I was only good to them if I was basically giving to them. And if I was only giving to them and they never called me, once I stopped giving to them, I just never received calls. You know what I mean? I took my energy back and I said, okay, I love you lots and have a great day. A lot of us don't want to take that into perspective. They don't want to realize that we are the ones who need to call. We are the ones that need to make the relationship happen. If you are in this situation, know that there's nothing wrong with cutting those limited persons off in your life. That is like what we would call like trimming the fat, if you want to put it that way. You must trim the fat in order to be the leading role. You cannot carry everyone with you in order to be the leading role. It will be exhausting. It was exhausting for me. I did it for almost 20 something years. So I'm speaking to it because I think a lot of us healers have to go through all these stages so that we can help people recognize what they're going through. So if you're somebody that feels like you're carrying a lot of weight with your friends, and friends, I have to remember and remind all of us, and family, it's a two-way street. If you don't get any calls, you don't have to call them. And why this is difficult for a lot of us that are in the supportive role to do is because once we cut all these people off, we realize that we're more by ourselves. We're more by ourselves, and that's scary. But what I want to point out is that in that fear, what's really taking place is a widening and an opening and a new pool of energy and emotion and space for newer persons once you've healed most of everything that I'm describing right now. Because once you cut all that fat away, you create space for newer friends that do love you, that do support you, that do want the best for you. But until you trim all that fat off, because what you're really saying to the universe is like, I'm supporting. That's all I'm doing. I'm just a supporter. I'm never going to step into my power. I'm never going to step into this. I'm always going to carry other people that wouldn't carry me. And when we really realize that that is the truth of the matter, we have to make that large stride to actually be brave enough to say, like I said in the short, if you're playing Monopoly, right? Let's just say you're not going to go help others buy up the boardwalk and buy the railroads and, get all the best housing and Park Place and all that. You're in competition because you want to win. Now, if you were to apply some of those same procedures in how would you win in life as a strategy, would you be carrying people? Would you be giving them all your oxygen, all your money, all your power? Probably not. If you look at life similar to that, in a sense, please don't get me wrong, but what you're doing is you're putting yourself first. You're trying to give yourself the most amplified ability to win in this life. And it's also coming from a place of respect of oneself. How can those around you respect you if all you do is give away and never preserve enough energy for yourself? You are number one. Aside from our children, you are number one. And even then, why do we do it is for our children. Because what role model do we want to be? What do we want to show our children is that we are the best that we could possibly be. And even to our friends and our family, if we really want to be that person that changes lives, if we really want to be that person that helps others, we have to help ourselves. If we make ourselves whole, if we help ourselves, if we get fixed, we can show others how to do it too. And that's way better than carrying weight that is not ours. So with that said, that's one thing you got to get out of the way. Trim that fat, release all the persons in your life that do not benefit you, that you are only benefiting. Okay, so when you are the martyr in your own life, that has to be managed. I will make a separate video just for that. With all of this comes something called boundaries. You have to be the boundary maker in your own life. If you let everyone walk all over you, if you never put your line in the sand for what you stand for, then you stand for nothing. And when you stand for nothing, you are weak. Not only to yourself, to your children, to your family, to everyone around you. They see you as that. And sometimes what happens when you don't put this line in the sand, ever, or a lot of times, or don't really have it, you'll notice that when you do actually, like, let's say, get involved in vices, drinking, etc., you have a lot of anger issues stored and bottled inside. Because really and truly, if you were really listening to your higher self, which is always talking to you, your higher self is telling you where to draw those lines and where to draw those boundaries. And every time you cross one of those and you don't put them up, you feel it inside. You know it's the wrong thing to do when somebody slates you at work, or somebody slates you in the family and you don't stand up for yourself, or a friend makes a comment that really hurts your feelings and you don't say, hey, now, I'm your friend, I don't deserve that. These little things that we should voice and vocalize are very simple and are very respected. Again, you deserve respect. You deserve wholeness. So there's nothing wrong with just putting your boundary and putting your line in the sand. Knowing what's right for you. If you are someone that is passive aggressive, if you are someone that never formulates those lines, but inside, internally, you're stressed, you're angry, you're eating it all the time, you're swallowing that anger because you don't know how to stand up for yourself. This is another thing the boundary maker has to come out of you. Because again, all you're doing is giving away your power, and you're not actually amplifying who you are, what you deserve, and what is made for you in this lifetime to be the lead role within your life. So if that's something that you struggle with, I'm going to make another video down the road, probably within next week. All three will probably come out so that they can kind of tag team to this. And the thing is that the reason why I have so much confidence in saying what I'm saying is because I have been that person. I've seen all variations of it. I've done all variations of it, and I've gotten myself out of it. And like I said, I have had to cut hundreds of people, if not thousands. I honestly had to cut so many webbings of persons. It's like if I had a core group of 20 friends, those 20 friends had 5 friends, and those 5 friends had another 20 friends, and so forth. It's a huge webbing sometimes that you need to kind of cut away at, because you're like, this is not who I am, this is not what I'm cultivating in my life, and this isn't where I want to go in my life. I don't want to drag any more weight with me. So if you're going through this process and you understand what I'm saying, but you just don't know how to go from A to B, I'm going to create those other 3 videos specific to scapegoating, specific to martyrdom, or being that supportive role in everyone else's life, and including your own. And I'm going to talk about boundaries and how important they are and how simplistic they can be with a supportive system of supporting yourself, right? Taking that energy and moving. So that's why I put it in 3s, right? That's why I put it in order, because you have to break one to break the other to break the last one. And then once you've broken the last one, you support yourself. You put yourself in that lead role. You become the driver in the driver's seat. You'll notice that you have no issue taking any type of response or direction from your higher consciousness at any time, because you realize that you're shifting and moving for the betterment of yourself. And once you're moving in the betterment of yourself, all you can do is go up, right? So don't ever think that being at the bottom or being at the middle is ever a bad place, because again, all you could do is go up, right? So this is what I'm always here for. I want to show people what I've gone through, and I didn't do it for a year, I didn't do it for a couple, I did it for lots of people, and I'm saying that with every step I took was always to the betterment of myself. And when the higher self really kicked in for me, I did have access to my higher self all through my life. I'm not unaware of that. But when I actually started working, doing the homework, taking the suggestions, living that day-to-day, step-by-step program with the higher self that they prepare for you, once you've figured out how to shift from the supporting to the lead, you'll notice that it starts to flow a lot easier. So I want to get us all to that point where we're in the lead, we're in the driver's seat, and then we can just drive on off with our higher self at the helm, telling us and showing us and guiding us and directing us in the rest of our lives. So there's that. So look out for those videos. I do want to say thank you to my day ones, to my day nows. Always, if you can, leave me a comment or subscribe or like. It helps the channel. I love you guys lots. Bye for now.